going on, everybody? Joshua Cook along with Dennis Silva II, Matt Malatesta here at VYPE Media as we have a special countdown to kickoff presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors to the 2021 football season. Guys, the magazine cover is out. We're ready for the football season. Let's get to it. Let's get to the Class 6A rankings, which we released the other week. And I'll start with you, Matt. The number one team. We've jostled these teams over the past few years. It's always been North Shore, Katy, North Shore, Katy. Number one team, no doubt, the Katy Tigers coming into 2021.
Well, I mean, we could turn this over to Dennis because he's the Mr. Katy, but I mean, look.
That's true.
Look, they're the brand of Houston. North Shore and them are the brand of Houston, and they do flip-flop. What I'd like to see is who could challenge those teams. But Katy, loaded, quarterback's back, defense is going to be awesome. I don't really see a lot of holes. I see them going at least to the state Final Four. Dennis, thoughts?
I agree with everything Matt just said as far as they return 11 starters. I think last year, the most impressive thing was they won with a sophomore quarterback and a sophomore number 2 back who ended up leading them in rushing. Yeah. Those guys are back. They're juniors. They still have them for one more year. The defense is loaded. Katy Twitter has this thing where they think this year's defense is going to rival that of maybe 2015. I think you need to slow your roll a little bit, but they are stacked. Bobby Taylor, Malik Silla, Hamilton McMartin, all these guys are experienced. They're state champions. They make plays. They are stacked. I'm trying to think of a weakness, and I don't know if you can think of either of y'all can think of one where they just like Katy might have a concern, but they seem to be pretty balanced, pretty stacked, pretty talented, pretty elite.
Ty Canna is a beast in the middle. He's a great linebacker. He's our cover boy. I mean, on offense, they got a couple of skills. Do they really stretch the field enough if they got to win in a high scoring out game? You know, and their tight ends, usually they're great.
Fair.
They can.
Tight end, I think, is a you bring up a good spot.
Yeah, the tight ends, they've dominated and killed people with tight ends.
Yes.
And I'm not sure that they have that guy yet.
I think the breakout, pull at the top off defenses, you have that in Nick Anderson. Like, are you going to need it, though, with Seth Davis? And I think Chase Johnsey is he was a freshman last year, I think, a sophomore. I can't remember. He was an underclassman last year, got some varsity reps. I think he's going to be the number 2 guy. Mm-hmm. Fast, physical. I don't know if you're going to need to really worry about throwing the ball downfield. Behind that offensive line, with Seth Davis and with Koger running that misdirection so well, I don't think you need to really worry about throwing the ball downfield.
Yeah, there's 2 things you know about Katy football. They're going to have really good running backs. They're going to have a really good offensive line. Yes, and the third thing, they're going to have a really good defense. Yeah. That's the 3 calling cards, and they've got it. And the thing about them being sophomores last year is they went all the way to state and they won it.
Yeah.
You think about, Matt, the last team that did that, they turned out pretty good. I'm saying the North Shore Mustangs with Demetrius Davis and Shadrach Banks. They went and won it one state as sophomores. They then won state as juniors, went to the state semifinals as seniors. We could see kind of the same kind of run potentially out of the Katy Tigers, and Gary Joseph has to see that because he's got such a young team right now. So we talk about those North Shore Mustangs. Matt, no Demetrius Davis anymore. He's at Auburn. Shadrach Banks is at TCU. It's a completely different look offense. But here's the thing. The defensive unit is going to be so salty. I think it's going to be one of the better defensive units in the city of Houston that's going to give that offense time to catch up.
Yeah, Chris Ross, I love this guy. He's a big D tackle going to University of Texas. Their defensive line is outrageous, and they get after the quarterback. We saw that in the first game last year. Klein Collins had him on the ropes. They basically blitzed the quarterback. Colby Powers, smush him. He's out for the 3 or 4 games. They turn the game around. They win. What is Denver Harris going to do? Is he healthy enough? Who's the number 1 recruit in the state of Texas? Is he healthy enough to play? He ACL'd in his last game. They think he's doing great in his recovery. But, dude, would you come back after that? If you're ACL'd and you're the number 1 player in Texas, maybe you come back. I don't know, but
now with the things that have happened with Quinn Ewers going to Ohio State, he's not only the number 1 player in Texas. I think he's the number 1 player in the country now in the recruiting class because Quinn Ewers is off the board officially, and I think that defensive unit and I think the defensive unit, it goes past, like we talk about Denver Harris a lot, but they have so many pieces. You mentioned Chris Ross. There's the other guy, the big 99, the big end from
Ty Leonard is a beast. Yeah. He looks like a college player now, but he's a little bit more raw. He's kind of getting into the North Shore system. This is year 2. He's going to have a big upside this year. But their defense is going to win games for him. Jaden Davis is a tremendous defensive back there now. So they're hungry. They know they're going to win. What are they going to do at quarterback? Running back, I'm not sure. O-line, I'm not really sure. They do have some really good receivers. Yep. David Amador, and they have Jaden Bailey, I believe is his name. They can stretch the field down there. So who's going to get him the ball? It's a new move-in quarterback from Legacy Sports Sciences. Can't remember his name, but we'll see how he. I mean, those are some big shoes to fill.
Yeah, and then there on defense, there's some younger brothers that have come up now. I mean, you've got Caleb Flagg. You remember his older brother,
Corey Flagg.
Corey Flagg is now at the University of Miami. Then you've got Kent Battle is up with the team now. That's another guy. Another guy to remember at the DB position is Tavon Griffin. I really like Tavon Griffin in the playoffs last year. He's just a good little, DB that's going to get up there, make some noise, really can complement Denver Harris on the other side. Of course, the other guy is Jacoby Davis. Jacoby Davis at corner is going to be really good. Their defense is going to be solid. I think the offense is going to be – they're going to have to figure it out. But John Kay, Willie Gaston will work his magic.
Yeah.
He's going to work his magic
for
sure. The next team that we'll talk about are the Spring Lions. This is a team we really like. The thing about them is they go through Region 2, which means – the path to AT&T Stadium has to go through South Lake Carroll. It has to go through Duncanville. It's got to go through one of those Dallas teams. Matt, with Bishop Davenport, the Utah State quarterback, the pieces they have, is this the year that Spring walks into AT&T Stadium to play for a state championship? They are our number 3 preseason team. They will go Region 2.
I really do like it. I think, they're going to go undefeated in the regular season. That Westfield game is going to be a wild one because of
give me the tickets now.
What happened last year. But they're going to make their way through. That 4th round game is going to be really the ticket. They got to stay healthy, but man, they're loaded on offense and defense. Davenport's a great leader. I'm going to say that I'm going to give them a 60% chance of getting to the state Final Four, just because I think they're well coached. And Davenport is not a guy that runs the ball. He stays back there and is very patient and picks teams apart with his arm. Do they have enough on defense? They're a little undersized, super fast, but I like what they do.
Yeah, on defense, I like Gerard Henderson, the big defensive lineman. He's just a big body up there. He's going to stop some people. Myron Carter at running back is going to be fun to watch. Braylon Jones at linebacker. I mean, when they walk into the building,
they look legit.
But here's the biggest thing. That Westfield game, Westfield's got it circled. Because they got beat on a Hail Mary last year. They want to win this district back. That's going to be the big game of the year. Matt, you give them 60% chance. I'm going to go a little higher. I'm going to give them 65% chance.
To make the state Final Four.
To make the state Final Four. I think.
What say you?
I think they're going to get – I think they got the pieces. I think Davenport is a savvy veteran quarterback now that's going to get them there.
62.5.
Oh,
there we go. Okay.
Is this the Price is Right? $1, Bob. $1.
But I do like Davenport a lot. I think he's going to give them a great shot. And I think the size on defense is maybe a little bit concerning, but they are fast. They are athletic. I think they have a great shot to get to the Final Four.
The last 6A team we'll talk about before we get into the districts is the Atascocita Eagles. They come in at number 4. They bring back the quarterback. Gavin Session comes back this year. He's a 2-year. Oh my God! They're just gonna play that over and over and over.
They are. Yeah.
Here they come. But hey, Gavin Session, 2nd year for him in Craig Stump's system. Matt, you've seen this before. How Craig Stump's system works. He always has that 2nd-year quarterback. He finds success with them. They've got Cam Dewberry on the line, who's a big 5-star offensive lineman. They've got wide receivers, including Keith Wheeler II. That's going to be big for them. But you're kind of sleeping on my Atascocita Eagles.
A little bit. We've seen this before, right?
Okay.
It's this, and they're good. I was really surprised that Ridgepoint beat them. To play North Shore in the next round. Ridgepoint's legit. I think they've got a lot of really good athletes, and they're still hungry. They lost a lot, but, I think they're going to be really good. The team we're not talking about is Bridgeland. When you got a quarterback like that, dude, that guy's cold, man. Connor Wigman is out of this world. They lost a lot. They had a ton of seniors last year, but David Ratfield has built something over there. And look, maybe I could build something with Connor Wigman because he's that good. I'm an offensive genius by nature. But I really like what Wigman and Bridgeland has done. I like them a little bit better than Atascocita to go maybe deeper in the postseason.
I think the problem. I think the problem with Bridgeland is they don't have as many weapons as Atascocita does. Atascocita has always had a bunch of wide receivers. They always have good wide receivers that are good weapons. I mean, Wigman's great. I'm going to give him that. But how much weight's going to be on his shoulder, especially as the season goes on? Those wide receivers are going to have to come up.
He don't care.
And
He can handle
develop.
it, though.
Okay. All right.
He can handle
All right.
it.
Hey, we're going to play this back. We're going to play this back in a few months. But that's your preseason top 5 in Class 6A. The Katy Tigers, number 1. North Shore Mustangs, number 2. The Spring Lions, number 3. The Atascocita Eagles, number 4. And the Bridgeland Bears, number 5.
Scotty T has a question.
Producer question. Bridgeland is Division 2, if I'm not mistaken. So who goes further, Spring or Bridgeland?
Ooh.
Well, it
depends.
it depends because we don't know
Who's gonna make the playoffs.
We don't know if Spring's going to be Division 2. They're going to be Region 2, which we know they're going to go through the Dallas area. We don't know the divisions. I mean, some it's going to be obvious for some, but we'd have to look at the enrollments and stuff.
Bridgeland is going to go through Region 2 as well.
Yes.
But not. We don't know if they're D2 or D1.
Yeah, because that's what happened last year is with Katie's district. I think Seven Lakes made the playoffs,
Seven
and
Lakes
that
had to
pushed
win.
Katy down to Division 2 instead
Correct.
of the Division 1 path that they've had for the past few years, and then Katy goes on and wins the state championship.
You know what I was going to say real quick about North Shore is they remind me of what the questions we had about Katy going to last year as far as we didn't know who was going to throw the ball. They had a quarterback situation there. We didn't know who was going to run the ball. Like a lot of improving guys that weren't sure of, but we knew the defense was going to be well, and we knew they had other pieces. That storyline to me is similar as far as going to the season as for North Shore this year compared to what Katy had going into last year.
There's
Well
a lot
said.
to be said about defenses being able to carry a team early to allow the offense to
Yeah,
catch
especially in high school.
Yeah, I never underestimated John Kay or Gary Joseph
No.
either.
Mm-mm.
Never.
No. You don't.
They're fine.
You don't bet against those guys.
Yeah.
Let's get rolling into the district previews now, and we'll roll through these pretty quick. You can, of course, read all of these district previews on VYPE.com. You can pick up the VYPE Football Preview Magazine at your local academy, McDonald's, select Freddy's throughout the city of Houston. And, of course, you can also go to shopvype.com and order one as well. So District 13 6A, let's start there. Matt Malatesta, this is up in your neck of the woods. This is 13 6A. We predict the Woodlands, College Park, Oak Ridge, and Willis will make the playoffs. Grand Oaks, Conroe will be left out, and that's the order that we have. Your thoughts?
Okay, bold statement. Ready?
Okay. I don't know if I'm ready for this.
There's already been bold statements.
It has been.
Sophomore quarterback Mabry Mattower
Yes.
will be the most recruited player in the history of Houston.
Whoa. The
Just
history?
walk it back, Brett. Walk it back.
The history of Houston.
Yeah, I mean, he could be. He'll be the next Vince Young.
I need a red
as it
light.
relates
I
to
know.
recruiting. Okay, this guy's gonna go to college at 1.5 at the minimum
Wow.
as an NIL. He's a 6'6" quarterback. He played against Spring. He played against Spring last year in the first round of the playoffs. They lost. The Woodlands, that was not their year. And it was, Spring was really good. This dude cannot be tackled. He's massive. He's 6'6", probably 220, 210.
Wow.
He's worked so much on being that guy. His brother is a starter at Cal in the offensive line. This is the future of Houston football. And he's another guy like Wigman who doesn't mind the enormous spotlight that's going to be on him. I think this guy's going to be out of this world.
So there's the bold statement. He
Bold
drops
statement.
the mic.
I don't know what to say.
So I've seen Mabry Mattower's video throughout the summer. And I mean, he looks every bit of a starting
Right.
pro-style quarterback. He's a Trevor Lawrence-looking guy.
A lot of kids look like everything during the summer.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
I agree with that,
I agree
too.
with that. He's got to prove it on the field, but I think he will prove it on the field.
Yep.
This fall, this is going to be a
Fair.
big fall for him. He got some offers during the summer. I think he got LSU offer during the summer. He got a couple others. He looks really good throwing the ball. The Woodlands has got pieces around him. I think Ben Ferguson. They've got the Siraki brothers up on the line, which is going to give him a lot of protection. Marshall Harris on the defensive side of the ball. We think the Woodlands is going to win this district, and I agree. I think this is their district to win.
Oh,
this
for
year.
sure. They're winning this district. Martell Harris going to Texas A&M. If he can stay healthy, he's really, really good. Their D-line is good. Secondary, but I like them. College Park is a great story
Yeah, let's
last year
talk about
because They won district for the first time ever. Now, they lost a lot of players. I love what Lonnie Madison's doing up there. The coach, they do return the quarterback. He's kind of a dual sport football, basketball guy. But I just think they lost too much to compete for that district title. I think it's the Woodlands going to win. Oak Ridge, don't sleep on them. I think they're going to be okay. Willis, we did a lot of photo shoots with Willis. They got a sophomore quarterback also. Dude is massive, and he's going to be really, really good under Michael Wall, who was the OC back in the day at Lake Travis. He's going to develop this guy, and he's going to be really good too.
Yeah, I think Michael Wall's doing a great job of building that program. He's getting those stepping stones. I like what Lonnie Madison's done at College Park. Of course, they're riding that high from last season, a winning district. I mean, that College Park Woodlands game is always a good game. This is going to be a good game. And then I think with Grand Oaks, they're on the outside looking in. I think if
they're close.
They're close.
Really
it's
close.
just they have to replace that running back from last year, and that was a lot of their offense. I think it was like 90% of their offense was on the ground, and that's hard when that's the guy you have to replace. So that's a look at 13-6A, where we think the Woodlands, College Park, Oak Ridge, and Willis will make the playoffs.
Too much?
No.
Too much for that?
No, we're good. All right, we continue our district previews here on the VYPE Countdown to Kickoff Special. Josh Cook alongside Matt Malatesta and Dennis Silva. The second 14-6A is next up, gentlemen. This is the fun district. Spring, Westfield, Decaney, Eisenhower are the four teams that we feel are going to make the playoffs. We picked Spring to win the district for a second straight year. Matt, you have seen the Spring team a lot. Bishop Davenport. I mean, Westfield's got Cardell Williams. They got the pieces. They got A.J. Holmes on defense. I mean, it's going to be a toss-up for the top of the district between these two teams, but we feel Spring is going to win it.
I think Spring is just more balanced, more weapons, and they've just got the eye on the prize. Why do people sleep on A.J. Holmes is what I want to know, though. He's going to Virginia.
Yep.
Big, the defensive tackles that have come out of Westfield are outrageous.
Yep.
I mean, Coburn, who is now at UT, is like going to be one of the best defensive tackles in the country. Ed Oliver, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, Holmes is legit. He's a offensive game plan wrecker. So I think he needs to get the respect. I think their defense is going to fly around the field. They're going to win every game, and they might lose to Spring. With that being said, I think they're another team that's a team that can go deep in the playoffs. Cardell Williams, I think he wants to go out on top and have a really big senior season. Yeah. He was so juiced as a sophomore,
Yeah.
We gave him so much love.
Well, they had that deep run in the playoffs. Yeah. He ran into Dallas Jesuit. And I was at that Dallas Jesuit game at NRG Stadium. Here's the thing about Westfield defense. They will hit you in the mouth, punch you in the mouth, stand over you, and remind you that they just punched you in the mouth.
They're rough.
That's the hardest hitting defense in the city of Houston. I'm saying it right now.
Okay.
They bring some swag. I mean,
they're big swag. Big swag. I love it.
They come hit. They play defense. I think after last year, I think Cardell Williams wants to have a big year.
He's got to, man. He's got to want to leave that legacy, dude.
Exactly. He's committed to Tulsa. Yep. I believe he committed to Tulsa. A.J. Holmes on the defensive side of the ball. Spring's got all the pieces. Here's the team that I really like that I think could maybe kind of sneak up in this district. The Decaney Wildcats. Boy, do they look good getting off the bus. Decaney looks good coming off the bus right now. They got the pieces, but can they overcome Westfield in Spring? I mean, this is a Decaney program, 12 years ago won a state championship?
Yeah, they did. Trey Williams in the crew won a state championship. They gave Bridgeland all they wanted. They basically beat Bridgeland.
5 overtimes?
They just kind of stubbed their toe a little bit. But I thought that game was going to be a blowout. I think they got maybe kind of robbed on a couple calls as well. But Decaney shocked me last year. Again, they do graduate a lot of people, but I think they're going to be good. Eisenhower, yes, they're going to get into the playoffs. They're the best team coming out of Aldine. Ryan Niblett is really good. He's going to play at the college level. It's kind of cool as you did a feature on Jalen Darden, who came out of Eisenhower, played at North Texas, is now going to play for the Tampa Bay Bucks. Niblett's very similar stature and kind of confidence as Darden. I'm not sure he's going to be an NFL player, but he's going to propel that team to the playoffs.
Here's the name to remember, and Eric Jackson will tell you this is the name to remember. So 2023 cornerback Tyler Hutcherson.
Yeah.
He thinks he's one of the best corners in the state of Texas, and he's overlooked, he's underrated, and he thinks he's one of the best. And here's the thing. I'm going to give Eric Jackson the benefit of the doubt because they've produced some good cornerbacks And linebackers out of that Eisenhower defense, if you think over the past few years, who's come out of there, who's gone to the college level. So Tyler Hutcherson is a name to remember. And then, of course, you got on the offensive line, you got some big guys. You got Lauderdale on the offensive line. That's going to be a big key for them as well. So Eisenhower, of course, we think is going to be the best team out of the Aldine district. So once again, we believe Spring, Westfield, Decaney, and Eisenhower are going to be in the playoffs. Aldine Davis just on the outside as Scout Joseph continues to build his program. Of course, Joseph from a very good family of coaches, so we believe he'll continue to build his program there in 14-6A. A name to remember also, Jonah Wilson out of Decaney.
Yeah.
Big wide receivers, got a bunch of offers. He's going to be a breakout player this year for the Decaney Wildcats. So we will move on to District 15-6A now. This is a fun district. This is the Tomball Klein district that gets it all mixed up together. A bunch of headlines coming into this one, of course, this offseason. Our 4 top teams going to the playoffs: Tomball Memorial, Klein Kane, Tomball, Klein Collins. Those are the 4. But, of course, coming into the year, Matt, Jadon Blue of Klein Kane says, you know what? I'm foregoing my senior year. I'm not going to play this year. We're sitting there going, well, this is a huge blow. You just lost a 2,000-yard rusher.
Yeah.
What's Klein Kane going to do? But we still pick him second in the district.
Tomball Memorial lost a lot too. I mean, they lost their quarterback.
Yep.
They lost Joseph Manjack, who was a total freak. But they have some better pieces. They're going to do it maybe more on the ground. Rodriguez, tremendous running back, and he can kind of catch the ball out of the backfield. So Sam Parker is one of the best offensive minds in the city of Houston as a coach, and he's going to have them ready. So they're going to put up a bunch of points. Klein Kane's going to do really well, even without Blue. I think you might be in a situation where it's addition by subtraction there, possibly.
Yeah.
Matthew Golden is going to be the undisputed leader there. He's going to TCU, great receiver. Carson Roper, the quarterback. Man, if this guy gets it together, he's got a great frame. He can run. He's got a whip of an arm. If he can just be accurate, he's going to be really good. Sleeper team, Tomball Cougars. Who would have thought the Tomball Cougars? But you know, they've got a bunch of great offensive linemen that are kind of that mid-range recruitable guys. Some are going, some are committed. You've got Cale Helms, their quarterback, dual threat, can run, can throw. They got some weapons on the outside. I really like what they do. And then finally, Klein Collins just is so – there's such a program that just does the same thing over and over. But the name to watch out for, Preston Hatter at Klein Oak, rave reviews, going to be a junior. He was a move-in last year. He couldn't play to the very end of the season, got cleared. This guy could move the needle for Klein Oak in that district, and they could slide up and be that number 14.
They could be another name to remember is Lukia Rawls at Klein Kane on the defensive side of the ball. We think he's going to be really good on defense. I'm right there with you. I think Tomball Memorial, they had the pieces. They got the trophies. They won it last year. They got pieces to replace. Joseph Manjack was a freak. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he was great.
He would
Really
throw
good
for
player.
200 yards, rush for 225 yards, and be smiling all the way to the end zone, putting up the USC Fight On sign. Klein Kane, like you said, Tomball right there. I think Tomball is going to be a good team. Cale Helms looks to be one of the better returning quarterbacks in the district. So that'll be a fun district to watch is 15-6A. Let's get to District 16-6A. This is where it's going to get fun. Bridgeland, Cy Park, Cy Ranch, Cy Woods are our 4 teams we believe will make the playoffs. Of course, the Bridgeland Bears are led by Texas A&M dual sport commit Connor Wigman. They got the pieces. They're that young team. Matt, we got them just over Cy Park, but Cy Park brings back a lot of firepower here in 2021.
I'm a little worried about this pick.
Which one? Are you the Bridgeland pick or the?
Yeah, the Bridgeland pick.
Oh, okay.
I was talking about them early when we were talking about the top 5. They're really good.
Yeah.
But, man, Cy Park could be outrageous because they bring back 3,000-yard rushers. When does that happen? Harold Perkins is not even really a running back.
He's a linebacker. He's the number 4. He's the number 4 player in the country as a linebacker.
Yeah, so this guy's really special, but they run like a weird offense that it's tough to game plan for. But, man, they don't even have to throw the ball. They're really going to be good.
Are you saying they're going to beat Bridgeland?
I don't know about that.
He
but
put his
I
glasses
think
on.
they're very close. I think they're
I just
very
wanna be
close.
sure.
I think they're a problem for teams in the playoffs because you're not going to see this athleticism and that offense going throughout the playoffs. Your defense better be ready to strap it up because they are going to be really tough in the playoffs.
Fair. I just think in the playoffs, you have to, when they take away your plan A, you have to have a plan B. What's their plan B?
Well, they can also throw the ball. Perkins had a bunch of receiving yards.
Yeah, he did.
Owen Pee-wee, also a tremendous receiver, plays linebacker as well. He's a very recruitable guy. They don't throw a lot, but I think they throw kind of high percentage stuff and get those guys in space. And you can't tackle them. It's like
So fast.
me tackling J.J. Watt. That's a little bit much. But, I mean, maybe not that.
Yeah, maybe.
But I like him.
Hopkins.
And then Langham Creek, also a team that's going to be on the come up. Young quarterback, young receiver, both national recruits. They're going to be good. Tanner Murray is the quarterback.
Yeah.
I think it's Jaquez Petway. He's the receiver. They're both getting a lot of juice right now.
I think Cy Ranch could be interesting too because Bridgeland's kind of taking all the wind from
they
their
are.
sails, and I think Cy Ranch maybe is feeling like it's time to kind of.
They're angry.
They want to remember. I feel like this is like a big brother, little brother, Michigan,
It is.
Michigan State kind of thing. Like they want to remind little brother, like who's kings of the district.
That's a tough district.
It's
Very
gonna be-
tough district.
Those 3 games, I mean, just circle. I mean, Cy Park is going to be a show to go watch for sure. I think Bridgeland versus Cy Park. That's one of the games to watch this season.
Agreed.
In that district.
Concur.
Let's go to 17-6A. I mean, guys, it's the Cy-Fair Bobcats. This is you talk about brands in the city of Houston in football. You got Katy, you got North Shore, you got Cy-Fair. Cy-Fair won a state championship a few years ago under Ed Bajovsky. They're under new leadership now. Dennis, since you penned this district beautifully, Cy-Fair, Jersey Village, Memorial, and Stratford are the 4. You've got Cy Creek and quarterback extraordinaire Brad Jackson on the outside looking into the playoffs. Explain.
Because these are preseason and we don't know what's going on. No, speaking about Cy-Fair, I think it's not as clear cut as that they're going to be given to win this district. I think Jersey Village is good. I think Jersey Village returns 12 starters from an area team. Memorial is going to be good. They return 12 starters from a playoff team. I don't know about Cy-Fair's offense, especially early on. I think they'll get better in that area. I think they'll establish who their go-to guys are. I mean, right now, their best offensive players are offensive linemen. Blake Gonzalez, Alex Rodriguez, Aaron Padron.
They do not score.
They need to establish who their playmakers are going to be. Defense, they're going to be Cy-Fair. Cy-Fair is always good at defense.
Yeah.
But I think in the meantime, getting to the time where the playoffs are around, is when they're going to be humming. But as far as who can take the district, I think Jersey Village is capable. I think Memorial is capable. And as far as I think Stratford's going to be good. Cy Creek, I think, I mean, they obviously have maybe the best player in the district. And Jackson, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just think he doesn't have a lot to work with the receivers, and the back end of the defense needs some work.
Yeah, I think Cy-Fair, like you mentioned, the offense is going to be questionable to start, but their defense, this is kind of like a North Shore situation. Their defense is going to be really good. You got Hunter Warren coming back. You've got Lamont Henry back on the defensive line as well. You've got Aaron Pardon at right guard. He's going to be on the offensive line, but they could be that thing. We were talking about Jersey Village. Jersey Village could jump up and surprise some people this season. Memorial, of course, brings back Carson Zahn, who honestly I thought he graduated last year. I was double checking to make sure. He's a heck of a running back.
Oh, he's awesome. 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns.
Running back. Stratford's going to be really good. They got Hawkins Pauly
at tight end.
That
6'4".
At tight end. He's picking up offer after offer after offer. Got some new uniforms too.
Oh, they look sharp. Those are clean.
You see their new
going old
uniforms?
school. Old
They
school.
look like Green Bay Packers.
They do. They look solid. Another thing I want to say about Cy-Fair, just the offense. I know Landon Arrington, the senior receiver, he's 6'2", 195. He's going to be probably the go-to guy. My thing is I just don't know who's going to get on the ball. I also don't know who's going to run the ball for them. But he's someone they can probably look at like, hey, this guy from last year had a solid year. He's going to be logically the next guy to step up. He just needs a lot more around him. And I think they'll get that figured out. I just think they'll need to figure it out throughout the actual non-district and district portion of the season.
Perfect.
This used to be a big-time district.
Oh,
it's
for sure.
a little bit watered down right now.
A little bit, yeah.
And I think that's got a lot to do with, like, not realignment, but just redistricting of the Cy-Fair district.
Yeah.
But Cy-Fair is the team to beat, I think, too.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's move on to District 18, 6A. This is a district that's always fun to watch. Last year, Heights shocked Lamar, beating them, ending a 72 game. We had a 72 game district winning streak go down last year and a 75 game winning streak go down last year. That was the Katy Tigers losing to Tompkins, Heights beating Lamar.
Yeah.
So Matt, we come into this year, Heights. Honestly, they look like they can win it again. They got the pieces. They got the swag. Lamar's going to try and come back and get it. But the one thing Heights has is they've got Jalen Morrison back at quarterback.
They do. Keep in mind, once you finally beat that champ, it can propel you.
Yeah.
It can really propel you to be that guy. And it took what? Like 20 years to do it? But they've done it.
I don't know about 20 years, but
Yeah.
Like
somewhere
10, 12 years.
Maybe a decade. Give or take.
give or take 10 years.
So
Carry the
now,
one.
I'm always rooting for the Heights because Steven Dixon, the coach, is one of my favorite guys, and
Awesome guy.
he
Tremendous.
just hustles for those guys.
Yes, he does.
To get them recruited. Damone Green, really talented defensive tackle. They've got athletes, they just don't have a ton of them.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to win the district, but Lamar. Keep in mind that game was an overtime game.
Yep.
So it wasn't like a blowout. Lamar's going to be seeing red when they play them.
I mean, it's going to be kind of like Spring Westfield, right?
Totally. But it's really going to be interesting to see if the Heights establishes themselves as that team in HISD and literally a 2-decade run of the Lamar dominance is over. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying that it could be.
And then the two teams behind them, Westside and Bel Air, the other two that we feel like are going to make the playoffs. Nonzo Omezi, we've got him from Westside. I feel like he's going to be a pretty good player
Offensive
as well
lineman,
for them.
great name.
And then a breakout player there, Jeremiah Randolph of Westbury. Westbury could be the sleeper team. They're on the outside looking in to start the 2021
5
season.
seconds on HISD. We don't know what happened last year because they had so much COVID
Yeah.
controversy and they just didn't ever get off the ground. They had made history with the Heights thing, but I think everybody kind of settled down. They had a lot of new coaches last year that were facing adversity with COVID in their first year. I think they'll settle down and kind of figure it out.
All right, moving on to 19-6A, big district in Houston. Last year, Katy and Tompkins was one of the better regular season games you would see. I think it was 24-17. Tompkins won that game. Amazing performances by Jalen Milrow, who just laser throughout that Katy defense, and Katy just didn't have enough. And I mean, Tompkins thought they won the Super Bowl at the end of the game. It ended that 75-game winning streak. It ended the reign of Katy as the district champions. But 2021's a new year. Milrow's off to Alabama. Katy's the state champions. So losing that game ended up not being a bad thing for Katy when it was all said and done. But they want to get back on top of the district.
Of course. I think so. They won in 2009. Man, I'm going to get my years weird. 2009 was when they lost district.
Yeah.
And went on to win state. Did the same thing last year. So, no, losing district. Maybe actually, in a way, is a good thing for Katy. Just refocus them a little bit because they roll through that district. This year, however, I think you're right. I mean, I think Katy gets back on top only because Tompkins has some things to figure out. We got to see quarterback Cole Francis is legit, but we got to see how he performs on these big stages. Jalen, for some reason, had a lot of success against Katy. Seemed to know how to pick apart that defense a little well. He also had a good junior year game against them. The offensive line for Katy is going to be strong. We haven't talked about them enough, but with them, I want to point out junior 6'6", 240-pound Devin Garrison, who he's going to be someone to keep an eye on that offensive line. As far as Tompkins and Katy should win it. They're loaded. They have the more experience. They have, they do smell blood in the water when it comes to that district championship and getting back on top. Tompkins has Joshua McMillan back. He's a stud. They have got some new ball carriers in the backfield to replace. The running back they had last year is slipping my.
Katy's running back?
Tompkins.
Yeah, the big running back, war number 6. I remember that.
Marquise Shoulders.
Well, yeah, that's it. Shoulders.
Yeah.
And he was little.
Yeah, he
was
was
a little bitty guy,
fast.
but he was fast.
He's at Tulsa now. But so Tompkins has some things that we want to see first, but they do have the talent there, whereas Katy has the things we've seen them. We know what they're capable of, and we know they've got that Tompkins game circled. We know they're highlighting for sure. So
and then after that, Katy
Yeah.
Taylor, which loses a lot. Of course, you lose the 2 big offensive linemen. Bryce Foster goes to Texas A&M. Connor I can't remember his last name now. Connor.
Hayden.
Hayden Connor.
Hayden Connor, that's it. He goes to the University of Texas. You have to
Yes.
replace two very big pieces on your offensive line. You have to replace your quarterback. You have to replace
Jay
your
Jensen,
running back.
yep.
So, also, I think your OC went over to Made Creek as well.
Jay Jensen, he's now
Jay Jensen's over at Made
coaching
Creek
his alma
now.
mater. Yep.
So, Taylor, we've got them finishing third. They've got some good pieces there. Cinco Ranch, you keep talking highly on Cinco Ranch. You think this is – because the last time I remember Cinco Ranch being really good was when they had the Keithy brothers there who went to Utah.
Cinco Ranch, bro.
I'm saying. I'm
saying.
I'm saying the last time I remember them being good was with the Keithy brothers.
They were okay at that point.
They went to the state finals in 16.
Was it that short
Yeah.
amount of time? Don
Yeah.
Clayton?
Yeah.
Wow. That had a drastic drop off there.
Yeah. I
At
mean, they're getting
Cinco
pulled
within-
students-wise and enrollment.
But he's got him finishing fourth in the district.
I did. That's what I was getting ready
Hey,
to ask. the
Gavin
question.
Rutherford at quarterback. Gavin Rutherford is legit, and he's returning both of his receivers too as well. Noah, I hope I'm saying this right. Aboud, and Seth Salvarino. Man, you talk about a dynamic trio at offense. The thing is, can they run the ball? No running game last year. Completely hurt them. Can they play defense? We're going to have to figure it out. But
Yes, keep
quarterback and two receivers, those all three studs, I guarantee you.
Quick question.
Yes.
Quick question.
Yep.
Very important question.
Okay.
If Cinco Ranch makes the playoffs, Katie goes D1.
We're just assuming Tompkins makes the playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah, because Seven Lakes would have to make the
I would
playoffs
have
to
to
push
think so.
Katy
I would
down.
have to.
Yes.
I would have to.
Bam. Interesting question, Matt. Interesting.
Well, my.
Row.
I think. I guess so. Is that right?
We need to give him
I
a
can't
buzzer.
remember who.
I think it is.
Surely Katie has the more enrollment than Cinco. I gotta look at it.
I think, yeah.
I know Aubrey. Well, yeah.
Well, the key last year was Seven Lakes making the playoffs, pushed Katy down, and we have Seven
Yep.
Lakes
yeah,
finishing
but
on the
Cinco,
outside this year.
Cinco was close, a game away from making the playoffs
Yes.
last year, and I don't remember talking like, oh, if they make the playoffs, Katie could go D2. I do know for a fact that Seven Lakes gets in, Katie goes D2.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so we'll see about that. Anyway, in this district, 3 through 5, Taylor, Single Ranch,
Wiring.
Seven Lakes, May Creek. I think you're battling for 2 spots. I think all those teams are pretty much on the same level. I think we have to look out for May Creek.
He couldn't resist. He couldn't resist.
I'm just saying. I think Tayshawn Wilson is a stud.
He's a stud. Yeah. Do they have enough
defensive back,
studs outside
and I
of
think
that
they've got.
to win?
I think they've got a lot of athletic studs that we don't know about yet. I think
First year head coach Jay Jensen going to
Yes.
sprinkle his magic over there. His
I
little
think
Katy
he is.
Taylor
I think he
magic?
is. I think Cinco Ranch has to be careful. I think Taylor has to be careful. They're not sure bets to get into the playoffs, in my eyes, at least. My humble opinion. I think Katie and Tompkins pretty much locks, barring injuries.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
Taylor, Cinco Ranch, Seven Lakes, May Creek, up for grabs for the last 2 spots.
I know. It's wide open, kind of.
This year feels
Wide
more, like you said, wide open. There's those few districts where the top 2 are going to kind of jostle. Like
Yeah.
Spring and Westfield are going to jostle it. I think, Heights and Lamar, they're going to fight it out for that top spot. You have Katy and Tompkins. We feel like Katie's going to win the district, though, because they've got all the pieces to do it.
One thing, Cole Francis, the quarterback at Tompkins, I have to say, keep an eye on. Senior, 6'4". The only reason he did not play much, he was behind a guy who's playing in Alabama right now, in Jalen Monroe.
We did a VYPE hype on him where I went out and met him.
Yeah.
And we did some foot. I'm telling you,
Impressive young man.
brilliant kid.
Yes.
Brilliant kid, super nice, great leader.
Yeah.
He's ready for his time. But like you said, man, when them lights come on,
Walking in that
it's
Katy
either going to
game
be
is
Cole
way
Francis
different.
or it's going to be Cole Francois. We don't know which one it's going to be.
I guess.
But it is different because this will be his first Katy game.
I know.
Right?
I'm not even worried about Katie.
Here's what I
Let's
like.
talk about Maid Creek. Can they beat Maid Creek? I don't
Can
know.
Tompkins beat May Creek?
Can they? I don't know if this guy's a dude.
yeah.
For
I mean-
sure. Here's where I like what they did last year with Cole Francis. He led the JV to district championship. Then Fridays, he was up with the varsity.
Right.
With the warm-ups, with the pregame. He watched Jalen. He watched Coach. He watched how they handle things. I talked to him recently. He was like, so this is nothing new. The varsity atmosphere, how to run a team, how it works, how do Friday night game lights work. He was in that part while leading the JV to a district championship of his own last year. So that was smart in how Coach Todd McVay handled that situation, knowing that he was the next guy up after Monroe. Let's get him some experience on what it's like to be under
Meaningful
these Friday
snaps.
nights. Yes, and be under.
But look, he's got to
Yeah.
beat Morton. I'm not saying they're not going to beat Morton, but he's just got to get. I'm not worried about the Katy game. They could lose that by 100 points. Who cares? They got to win the other games to get into the playoffs.
I also think they have an underrated defense.
Yeah,
I really do. The defense up front, studs.
I think they're
all
getting in the
across.
playoffs. For sure. I want you to be good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so that's District 19-6A, and we'll be back with more after this.
Vlog number one.
Well, first off, thank you for being here.
Jordan Battles reach over the defender.
Crosby's second state championship appearance.
Baytown, Texas for the 51st time.
How does that sound? What's going on, everybody? Joshua Cook back here with Dennis Silva II of VYPE Media as we count down to kick off of the 2021 Texas high school football season here in the city of Houston. We continue that countdown with District 26A, Fort Bend ISD. And Dennis, this is a fun district. Ridgepoint had a great season last year. They bring back a lot. On paper, this feels like a Ridgepoint team that can really make that deep run in the playoffs. You got Burt Emanuel Jr. back at quarterback. You got DK Kalu on the defense. You got big Calvin Harvey up front helping clear the way. I mean, they look like the team to beat in District 26A. Of course, Fort Bend Travis is going to fight with them for that. George Ranch right behind them. Clements right behind them. Those are our top four teams heading into the 2021 season. Your thoughts, since you are Mr. Fort Bend ISD.
Kudos. Everything you said about Ridgepoint is right. I'm going to throw in Ezel Jolly at running back. Didn't mean to botch his name. And Marvin Session at wide receiver. And just more weapons they have. 11 starters from last year's team. They seem pretty stacked. And I think that looks like a team that has big picture expectations this year. You can tell there's a little bit difference in camp and training and just the way they go about their business this year. They know they can be something special. I think that's huge. Travis is going to have an electric offense. They always do. Anthony Joku at quarterback, 1,300 yards last year, 13 touchdowns, 458 rushing yards, 7 TDs. He's also got a lot of other weapons around him that, especially at receivers, he's got all but one of the starting offensive linemen coming back. They look legit on offense. There's someone who can give Ridgepoint's defense a test. Georgia Ranch is going to be has some tools that could threaten. I know a big thing for them is they made the playoffs last year, then weren't able to go up against Katie Taylor because of COVID. Yeah, it kind of feels like a lost season. Kind of feels like unfinished business. They have 11 starters coming back from that team, so there's a sense that they didn't really get to see how good they were, and they're going to be pretty good. Are they Travis and Ridgepoint good? I don't think so, but if you told me they're going to finish second, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
Yeah, this is a district that's always fun. Another guy to remember on Ridgepoint, I really like this guy, Taylor Davis, on the defensive side of the ball. Yes. He's kind of a smaller guy, and I think he gets overlooked for. But Coach LeFavors really talks high about him. You talk about the bloodlines, and in these days, Burt Emanuel Jr., of course, he's the son of Burt Emanuel, who played at Rice, went on into the NFL. DK Kalu is the son of ND Kalu, who played with the Texans, and so on and so forth. So, the bloodline is there. Calvin Harvey is just a big guy too up front. I mean, you talk about a guy who's just not on the radar at all, and then he decides, last year I'm gonna play football. By the way, I'm like 6'6", 320 pounds, and I have a wingspan of 7'5", and he's just an awesome offensive lineman. He's also an awesome young man, very just awesome person. This is a really good Ridgepoint team. I think if Ridgepoint's gonna make a run, this is the time to make the run. They're just going to have to get through Atascocita in Region 3. I think that's going to be the hump that they're going to have to get over when it comes to the playoffs.
I agree. I would even put them ahead of Atascocita right now. I don't know.
You and Matt both.
I like Atascocita. Okay. I'm not as low on them as Matt is. Yeah. Like Session, I like Session a lot over there, but I think Ridgepoint, just top to bottom, offense, defense, everywhere, coaching, they're just loaded. Like, where is their weak spots? Like, I was just reading through the preview we have on them in our magazine. I pretty much just listed the entire defensive roster. Yeah. They've got tons of talent.
They have tons of talent.
It's ridiculous.
They have to go. I think the thing now is they just have to go get it done in the playoffs with a deep run.
Yes.
Which I understand last year it was Rick LeFavor's first year. They make a nice deep run. They kind of got into that back and forth, high scoring affair with North Shore.
Yeah.
And then, that's kind of what happened there. So that's going to be interesting. But on paper, they've got the pieces.
Also, look out for George Ranch defensive back senior Jeffrey Ego.
Yep.
Stud, athletic. He might be the best defensive back in the district, and I think he'll have a long way as far as saying how far George Ranch goes.
Quick, any other players to watch for in this?
Hyman Drinkard, the running back at George Ranch, he's going to be pretty good. He's solid. Cole Murphy, senior quarterback at George Ranch, probably the guy going to be there. I like him a lot. I just don't know. I think George Ranch could be. They can either do really well or they could not, and it's interesting to see just like which way they'll go and what direction their season goes.
It's gonna be interesting.
Yes, sir.
District 21 6A is up next. This is we consider this one of the toughest districts in the city of Houston.
Yeah.
From top to bottom, North Shore leads this district once again, headed by John Kay and staff. I mean, North Shore, 2 state championships, a state finalist in the last 3 seasons. It's unbelievable. Now they got to replace all that offense. They have the defense to do it. We've talked about Denver Harris. We've talked about all those pieces there. But let's talk about the rest of this district, because the rest of the district is like we know what North Shore is about.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got like 13 guys in this picture in our preview. I mean, they got Chris Ross who's going to Texas. They've got everybody, all the pieces here. Atascocita right behind them. We mentioned Gavin Session. Second-year quarterback. I really like how Craig Stump's got it set up perfectly over there. He's had his quarterbacks for 2 years as starters every time, and that second year is always a bigger year because they take that next step. They take that next step in the offense. Cam Dewberry, big offensive lineman. He's going to push people around up front. Keith Wheeler II is a solid wide receiver. They always have wide receiver weapons. Tyrus Winfield coming out of the backfield. Can Atascocita beat North Shore this year? I think that's the game that's going to decide the top of the district between North Shore and Atascocita. I know Atascocita wants to win that game. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how North Shore's offense comes along. Behind them, I really like C.E. King. What Derek Fitzhenry has done, C.E. King comes into this season. They bring back 2,000-yard rushers to the offensive unit this season. The guy I really like is Gerald Wembley. Gerald Wembley is a bowling ball. I mean, I'm talking last year. I saw them in their playoff game against Channelview. Wembley had a run that reminded me of Beast Mode. Marshawn Lynch. He literally was just dragging and shedding dudes all the way to the end zone in like a 20-yard run. It was unbelievable. Wow. They got the run game. They've got to replace a quarterback in Cameron Kincheon, who was a really good quarterback last year. They got to replace him. They got the pieces, though. I think they're a solid third-place team in this district. I think the top is going to be Atascocita and North Shore. I think those are the 2 teams that are going to get to the top in this district. Our 4th-place team is Beaumont Westbrook. Of course, they have Bryce Anderson, of course, is committed to Texas A&M. He's going to go play there. He's just an elite athlete at the quarterback position. He can kind of do it all. Is he a true quarterback? No. He's going to go play defense at the next level. So he's just the athlete you put back there. It's going to be interesting for Westbrook. They get a new coach. Eric Peavy, their former coach, has moved on to Little Cypress Mauriceville. So new coach. We'll see what they do with Anderson in the backfield. And then the team that's kind of on the outside looking in right now is Summer Creek. Summer Creek, they have the big offensive lineman, Kelvin Banks Jr., going to Oregon. They've got the running back in Torrey Curry. They've got to have quarterback play. That's been their biggest issue over the last couple of seasons is the quarterback play. They got a new guy coming in this season, so we'll see what they can do. And, of course, Humble right behind them is under Marcus Schultz. They could kind of jump up and surprise some people. I've liked what I've seen. They got big offensive linemen. They've got some pieces there. Kind of that when you have a new coach come in and you have that kind of resurgence of culture, they've repainted the locker room. They've got some new stickers. They've got bleed purple on the ground. They could be a surprise to kind of jump up and win some games this season. Of course, this is a tough district to just jump up and surprise some people in because of the talent that is there. But Kentrell Mason, I really like him. He's a big left tackle, huge kid. So we'll see what they can do. Kingwood has got a bit of an uphill climb. They won 2 or 3 games last season. They don't really return a lot of pieces. Grant Mize, on a linebacker on the defensive side, is back for them. So that's my thoughts on 21-6A as I break down the whole district. But North Shore up top of the district again.
For sure. Yeah, I don't think, And I don't know if we're giving Atascocita enough love, but I think we need to. We're messing around for the most part, but they're going to be a team to watch. They're going to be a team in Region 3 that's something to look out for. I think Session is going to make that next leap. We're going to see how good he really is. I think Craig Stump has a lot of things good.
I'm serious. I'm gonna be at the North Shore Tascasita game because I think that decides District 21 6A
For sure, yeah.
And
Really good question.
this is gonna be a big season for Tascasita. Can they jump up, beat North Shore, and take the number 1 seed out of District 21 6A?
But is it really a knock if they don't?
It's not a knock. No, not at all. It's
Yeah.
not a knock. I mean, if they finish second, then they're
Yeah.
right there. But I mean, I think it's gonna be a good game. I think Gavin Session, like you said, they got weapons. I think Ducos on the defensive side of the ball is gonna be really good. I think they've always got good wide receivers. It's gonna be a fun game.
Yeah.
And I think C King could jump up and surprise some people. They got a playoff win last year for the first time in a long time. They're up in 6A. They're making those steps. Derek Fitzhenry, their head coach, came from North Shore, so
Yeah.
he knows how the program is built. You talk about these coaching trees and where these guys come from. If they're connected to Gary Joseph or they're connected to John Kay, you got to feel good because they know how to build the program. And, I mean, the facilities at C King are crazy cool.
Man.
You got an indoor facility. They got a crazy weight room. I mean, awesome stadiums. They're putting it together. So let's move on to District 22 6A. This is Pasadena Dobie, Channelview, Deer Park, South Houston, then the other Pasadena schools. So we've got Dobie winning the district. Dobie always, first off, they got the coolest looking uniforms. They look like the Texas Longhorns walking into the door. Cameron Gray is going to be a big player for them. Watch out for Channelview. Channelview, here they come, Demetrius Charles. Watch out for him on offense. You pen this district, so you talk about it a little bit. Deer Park could be pretty good. They always kind of put some pieces together over there as well.
Yeah, Deer Park's going to be young, but you're right, they do have some pieces. Pasadena Dobie returns 10 starters from a district champion. The interesting, I guess if it's interesting thing about this district is no one won a playoff game last year. So I think the parity's better in the district this year. I think there are teams that can and should win playoff games. Dobie's one of those teams. Channaview's another team that wouldn't surprise me if they went 2 or 3 rounds deep. Deer Park's young, but they'll be in the playoff race. After that, I think between South Houston and Memorial, even Sam Rayburn to an extent. Memorial broke a 2-year playoff drought last year. Brings back 10 starters from that team. South Houston brings back 17 starters from their team, which is crazy. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I like to with the teams that bring back the most from a team. But it's one of those districts that I think just needs to make some noise. Like they need
a team to make a deep run in the
yes, and it's either going to be probably Dobie or Channelview.
Because we talk about like 21 6A. You're talking about 21 6A a lot because you have North Shore making runs, you have Atascocita making runs, you have like so on and so forth. Then you have a district like this, like you've got to punch through the ceiling and get a team into the second, third round, and then you're making a little bit more noise.
Yeah, shout out to Sam Rayburn, by the way. Snapped a 30-game losing streak last year. Finished 3-7, which is huge for them. 13 starters returned from that team. So if they can build on that momentum, they could be maybe a sleeper or a dark horse. But yeah, I think it's really on Dobie or Channelview to kind of put this district on their back, carry them to somewhere of prominence and a little bit of relevance to where, hey, you make up some people and realize that, hey, there's a lot of good football being played in Pasadena.
All right, moving on to District 23 6A. This is a fun district. Came down to the last game of the regular season last year between Shadow Creek and Pearland Dawson. Of course, Dawson won the game. They finished the regular season undefeated, but then went into the playoffs. Were matched up with North Shore at one point, and you know how that went. So this year, Pearland, Shadow Creek, Straight Jesuit, and Pearland Dawson are the 4 teams that we have going into the playoffs. You have Pearland winning the district. The mighty Oilers return to the top of the district. Jake Sock and company. They got Dylan Dixon going to Colorado. I mean, they look the part. They got those new unis. They got those new A&M Aggie-looking unis right there. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
Pearland's a brand. We talk about brands.
Yes.
Pearland is a brand in that side of the city. You know, can they win this district over Shadow Creek, who kind of ushers in a new quarterback in Duke Butler?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be the question, right? Is how does Shadow Creek respond from getting its baptism in 6A last year?
Yep.
And going through it seemed like they had a little bit of swag to them, like, hey, we're going to do in 6A what we did in 5A. I think 6A teams were like, There's no way you're going to do in 5A what you're doing with us. And I think Katie came around and was Katie. And we're going to see exactly what Shadow Creek learned. Until we figure that out, I do like a lot what Pearland brings back as far as 13 stars from an 8-3 team that went to the playoffs. I mean, you mentioned some of the names. Offensively, the running back Dominic Cerna, 709 yards last year, 6 touchdowns. Then they have another junior running back, Kennedy Lewis, who's going to probably be a huge playmaker for them. I just like more I think Pearland has a lot more proven talent coming back. Shadow Creek is Shadow Creek, and they're going to be, for years to come, a name of this district. But I'm really intrigued to see what they learned last year, are they going to level up a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, Shadow Creek, you talk about that team, was it 2 years ago? They're state champions. The year before that, they were playing for a state championship.
Yep.
Against Randy Allen in Highland Park, which, talk about your first year of baptism by fire in varsity football. But the job that Brad Butler and staff have done over there just to build that culture and that winning culture and stuff, I think that does say something, because now what you have is you have the expectation, right? You have the expectation. We're going to go deep in the playoffs. This is what we do.
Yes.
We have the gold trophy.
You have the
we
standard.
have the rings. Yeah, we have the standard. So, yeah, you do have to replace a guy like Kyron Jones, who is off at Baylor now.
Yeah.
You have to replace other pieces. But here comes the coach's kid.
Yeah.
We like coach's kids. Duke Butler, which, by the way, for a quarterback, let me say this right now.
Say it, Josh.
His name is Duke. The Duke has arrived.
Duke.
And I'm expecting some John Wayne music to be playing right now and going across the bottom here.
That's on you, Scotty T.
That's on Scotty T. The Duke has arrived. Looks good in 7-on-7. Can throw the ball. He's been working all summer. You talk about baptism by fire. He opens against the North Shore defense, which earlier I said was probably going to be one of the best defenses in the city of Houston. So talk about baptism by fire. Your first game is against Denver Harris and company on that side of the ball. So we're going to see real quick how good that offensive line is for Shadow Creek. We're going to see how good their defensive line can hold against the offense. Joshua Diaz, he's a guy to watch. Nick Hudson, another guy to watch on the defensive back for them. DeJuan Lewis is a big-time recruit for them. He hasn't committed yet. Lawrence Armstrong will be a big target for Duke Butler. And, of course, Duke will have to manage the offense. But being the coach's kid, it's a little different. He's been around this program. He knows the program. So I'm interested to see what step he takes.
Agreed on all accounts. Another team, obviously, Pearland Dawson, 10-1 last year. Their only loss was the playoff game, I think.
Yes, it was a loss to North Shore in the playoffs.
We turned 5 starters, but Colin Johnson, 6'4", 180-pound quarterback. He's legit. Ashton Stroman at receiver. Bryce Burgess, running back. They've got some keys and pieces that can make things interesting. And then Strick Jesuit rounds up my top 4 from the district, bringing 10 starters back from a 4-6 playoff team. Has a lot of youth. We'll have to have a lot of kids step up. And I think also A-Leaf Taylor could be a dark horse a little bit. I think they could. Yep. If things work right, they return 10 starters. They'll be experienced.
Always has a lot of speed on the track, which you think would extend to the football field, because they had a good relay team last year at state. And we just need A-Leaf Taylor to take that step. Yes. A-Leaf Taylor, you need to get into the playoffs. You've got the pieces, you've got the athletes. Now you just got to get over the hump and get in there. Another name to remember for Strake Jesuit, Bryce Fusick, the quarterback. I think he could make a big step for them this season.
Correct.
So that's District 23-6. Oh, really quickly, A-Leaf Hastings, one name to remember there is David Oakey, the big defensive end, big recruit. He's going to be a beast for the A-Leaf Hastings
Oakey's
Bears.
okay.
Oakey the Bear. District 24 6A, the last of the 6A districts here in the greater Houston area. Clear Falls, you have them winning the whole district over the mighty Dickinson Gators. Clear Springs comes in third, Clear Creek comes in fourth, and you have Clearbrook, Clear Lake, and Brazoswood right after that. Clear Falls' historic run last season in the playoffs, made a deep run in the playoffs. And you feeling good about the Knights?
I do. They bring back 15 starters from that team that lost to Katy. So I do feel pretty good about what they're bringing back. Guys like Luke Vidal at receiver and good offensive line. Tristan Zarella, safety. Cannon Garza, linebacker, 98 tackles and interception last year. Running back David Smith, I think, is going to be electric. Then you have Max Williams, who can do a little bit of everything at defensive back and wide receiver. I think there's tons of stuff there in the cupboard for Coach Zach Head to make another run. I really like. I actually wonder if we're maybe underrating them a little bit because they do have a lot. They did make the surprising run last year, but I don't think they're going to be a surprise anymore. I think we know what to expect from them, and they did lose to Katy. I mean, that's it is what it is. It's Katy, but they return a lot of guys back from that. Dickinson, they've got some guys, but I felt like they underachieved a little bit last year. I felt like, you have guys like Donovan Green, and you have guys like PJ Williams on the O line, and you have all these names and talent. I just, I'm trying to see if I put their record in here. I guess I didn't, but they have 12 starters come back from a 5-3 team. And I know last year we really should throw out much of everything because it was COVID.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I do feel like early on in some of the games, I just wasn't impressed. I thought they would give Katy, especially early season Katy, when sophomore quarterback and the sophomore running back were still trying to figure out. I thought they'd give them more of a game, and Katy kind of rolled over them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just not that impressed with Dickinson from a team.
They need solid quarterback play. They've got Donovan Green at tight end, like you mentioned. They've got pieces, but they just need to put it all together, and they just haven't been able to do it. I mean, John Snelson does an amazing job down there at Dickinson with putting his program together. They're always in the playoffs. They're always a perennial playoff team. Now can they make a run this year?
I think Clear Springs is another one. They're under Anthony Renfro is a new head coach over there. Craig Daly left to take over Seguin. They're usually one of the teams we're talking about as far as being 1-2. We don't know what to expect under a new head coach, but they do return 7 starters on offense. Noah Thomas, wide receiver, Texas A&M kid.
Yeah, he's a big athlete. I mean, he's big in track. He's big going to A&M, like you mentioned. Do they have enough though? Outside
Kai Woods, running back. Yeah, he's pretty solid. Defense, I think, is going to be. We're going to have to see what they have. They only have 2 returning starters. So Clear Springs, Creek returns 10 starters. They're going to be a team that can contend for a playoff spot. But I think, I have them actually in the playoffs, so that makes sense. But Clearbrook is also another team that could crack into the playoffs. But really, it just comes down to Dickinson and Clear Falls. I feel like at the end of the day, unless Clear Springs, Anthony Renfro kind of gets things clicking early, I think Clear Falls and Dickinson are 1 and 2.
All right. There's District 24 6A. Well, that is a wrap on Class 6A here in the city of Houston. We've gone all the way from 13 6A, where Matt Malatesta believes is the future most recruited player in the city of Houston, Mabry Matauer out of the Woodlands. So we'll see how he does this season. And you go 14-15 all the way through 21 6A, where North Shore, we'll see what they look like post-Demetrius Davis era, all the way up to 24 6A, where we have Clear Falls winning the district. We cannot wait to get out to the games and see all of these guys hit the field, full stadiums, bands, crowds, everything to kick off Friday Night Lights coming up soon. That's Class 6A preview on this special Countdown to Kickoff on VYPE.com, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.